Hi, I'm Chris, he's Dan. We're here to show you some of our very favourite exercises for shoulders.
Otherwise known as deltoids, and we are here once again at Muscle Beach in Venice Beach in sunny California. So this is an exercise now for your shoulders. It's a compound movement, and generally it's used for building the overall shoulder. So you've got three heads. You've got your anterior, you've got your posterior, and you've got your lateral head of your deltoid. This is mainly your anterior and lateral, but it's classed as a compound as there's more than one muscle group moving and working, so you'll get also some triceps in that as well. So this is how it's done. So, once again, a brilliant exercise for the overall shoulder, and that's going to give you a really good width on your upper body and create that big V taper that everyone's looking for.
Okay, the exercise we're going to look at now is for the deltoids. Not using free weights. We use free weights a lot for shoulders, but this is one using a machine for a change. And this is for mainly the anterior head, in other words the frontal part of the deltoids. So there we go, that's a shoulder machine press for the anterior deltoids. Most gyms actually have a more of a vertical seating position for this one. This one's a bit unusual, but it's the first time I've seen it, and it's great.
The most important head of the deltoid is the posterior, or the rear. And the reason for this is it creates the illusion of roundness, and a lot of people's rear deltoids are lacking in size. So the way to do this is called a rear plate raise. So what you're going to do is bend over to 90 degrees and just raise it up nice and slow and bring it back down. And when you've completed that, the aim of that is to really use your deltoids as opposed to your back. So you don't want to be rolling your shoulders backwards, forwards. If you're doing that, you need to drop the weight right down and really concentrate on isolating the deltoid. That's what we're looking at doing. We're looking at training that individual muscle as opposed to lifting as heavy as possible and getting it all right.
An exercise I do quite frequently for the posterior head, or the rear head of the deltoids, is called a reverse cable crossover. Obviously using the cable crossover machine, as you can see, which is used often for chest. I'm going to use it in this case in the reverse position because I'm using my left hand to control the right cable and my right hand to control the left cable. And it's done in this way. Now, the way I was doing that shows that we're pulling backwards from the elbow to behind the position of the torso, and that's what the function of the posterior head of the deltoid is, to move the elbow as far backwards as you can go. And when you keep the elbow fairly high, then you're activating the rear deltoid for that. If the elbow gets too low, which is impossible to do with this exercise, then it becomes much more of a back exercise.
So we're moving on to an isolation exercise now. This is going to hit the lateral head of your deltoid, which is the side. That's the one that creates the illusion of width and that big V taper that everyone's looking for. So really, the way you're going to perform this is by keeping your arms slightly bent. You don't want to put them at 90 degrees. The longer your arms are, the harder this exercise becomes. So this is how it's done. So as you can see, even with that light weight, it's a very tough exercise. It's not meant to be performed with heavy weights. Nice and slow on the way up and control it on the way down. And try not to bring the weights in front of you and swing up. The slower you can do it, and the more controlled you can do it, the more development you will get, the more fibres you'll be able to recruit.
I'm going to do an exercise for the lateral head of the deltoids now, and this is unusual because most exercises that I do are bilateral, they work both sides of the body at once. This is a unilateral exercise, so obviously once you finish one side, you have to do the same thing for the other side. So using a cable machine, this tends to use a very, very light weight, and leaning this way to get the maximum range of motion. So, one of the reasons why I'm doing that, leaning that kind of angle, is to increase the range of motion I've got. If I was doing this vertically, I'd just be going from here to here. Since I'm starting at a leaning angle, I'm starting with my arm away from the vertical, moving it through more than 90 degrees up to being parallel with the floor.